As we move toward the conclusion, this is where everything comes together in a very practical, real-world sense. Because at the end of the day, laws are not just written in books. They are applied on real roads, in real traffic stops, and in real moments where decisions have consequences. And what we're seeing with these 2026 driving rule changes is not just a technical update. It's a shift in how responsibility is being defined for drivers, especially for those over 65. In my legal analysis, one of the most important takeaways is this: the law is becoming more proactive rather than reactive. Instead of only punishing violations after they happen, regulators are increasingly trying to prevent risks before they occur. That's why you're seeing more frequent license renewals, medical evaluations, and stricter documentation requirements. It's not necessarily about restriction, it's about risk management from a legal standpoint, but that doesn't mean there aren't concerns. There is a strong constitutional argument that any law affecting mobility and independence must be carefully balanced against individual rights. While driving is considered a privilege rather than a fundamental right in most jurisdictions, it is deeply tied to personal freedom, especially for seniors. Courts would likely examine whether these rules are applied fairly, whether they disproportionately affect certain groups, and whether there are sufficient safeguards to prevent arbitrary enforcement. And this is where awareness becomes your strongest protection, because the biggest legal risk is not intentional violation, it's unintentional non-compliance, missing a renewal deadline, not knowing about a new medical requirement, failing to update documentation. These are the kinds of issues that can quietly lead to fines, license suspension, or even liability in the event of an accident. So the question is not just, what changed? The real question is, are you prepared for how it affects you personally? Take a moment and think about that. If you drive regularly, if you rely on your license for independence, or if you have a parent or family member who does, this is not abstract information. This is directly relevant. And this is also where the broader political reality comes into play. These laws don't appear overnight. They come from a combination of safety data, public pressure, and policy debates. Supporters argue that these changes save lives, reduce accidents, and create a more accountable system. Critics argue that they can be overreaching, burdensome, and sometimes unfairly targeted. Both perspectives matter, and in a functioning legal system, both perspectives are what shape the final outcome. Looking ahead, the long-term implications are significant. We are likely to see more technology-based monitoring, more standardized federal guidelines influencing state laws, and potentially even automated compliance systems tied to insurance or vehicle data. That raises new legal questions about privacy, due process, and the limits of government oversight. Courts would likely examine these developments very closely in the coming years. But for now, the most important thing is simple: know the law, stay updated, act responsibly. Because the difference between being protected by the law and being penalized by it often comes down to awareness. And that's exactly why conversations like this matter. If you found this breakdown helpful, take a moment to share your thoughts below. Civil, respectful discussion is how we all stay informed and understand these issues better from different perspectives. And if you want more clear, professional explanations like this, without the noise, without the confusion, make sure you subscribe and stay connected, because the law is always evolving, and the people who stay informed are the ones who stay protected. Stay aware, stay responsible, and always stay on the right side of the law.